Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jesus Pieces, and today we're going to show you how to produce hydroponic fodder off of corn, barley, oats, or wheat. We're going to show you how to produce this type of hydroponic fodder using simple disposable plates. This is so you can learn in a practical and easy way without having to invest too much money. In order to do this, we're going to need a strainer. We're going to need one of these hand sprayers. Obviously, we need our plates. We're going to use a little bit of bleach. We need a piece of cloth, and here we have our grains that we're gonna use today, and down here we have 2 buckets of water. So our first step is selecting our grains, our seeds, which is the most important step here. As I mentioned before, we're gonna be using corn, and this is barley right here. The most common seeds, you can use any type of seeds. You can use chickpeas, we call them here garbanzos. You can use lentils, you can use other type of seedlings, but the most common is corn or maize. And then also barley, wheat, and oats are basically the most common grains that you can use to produce this type of fodder. Now, it's really important to mention that sorghum is not really used a lot in this type of production, or is not recommended, because sorghum, when it's a small little plant, it produces this toxin that could be harmful to our animals. So really important to mention that if you're thinking about using sorghum, just remember that most of these varieties, they produce this toxin that could be harmful to our animals. Now, there's some specific characteristics that we need to look at when we're selecting our grain. The first thing is that we need to just, look at them closely and make sure that we don't have too many broken grains, or grains that have been affected by insects, that insects started biting on them. And then also make sure that we don't have grains that are have presence of fungi, or grains that have already started to rotten, basically. And the third thing that we need to look in when we're selecting our grain, our seeds, is that try to look for grains or seeds that have been harvested within the last 12 months. The thing is that most of the times when we store our grains for a long period of time, the longer they're stored, they start losing their germination percentage, meaning that not a lot of our grains are gonna germinate. And when we use grains that have been harvested within the last 12 months, this basically assures us that most of the grains that we're going to be using have a high percentage of germination. And let's go ahead and take a look at them at close range. As you can see, this is really quality corn. This is corn that we harvested here at our ranch. As you can see, there's hardly any seeds or grains that are broken or damaged or have been impacted by insects and things like that. And here we have our barley. Same thing. As you can see, most of this grain is really good quality. Most of these grains are gonna germinate without a problem. We do have a little bit of rocks here and there, but we're gonna be cleaning these out shortly in the next step here. The next step is to remove all those impurities, to remove basically all those seeds that might be broken, all those seeds that might be impacted by insects, and all that little debris, all that trash, all that, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's like some of that powder, some of those little flakes. So the objective as the second step is basically to remove all of these impurities. And the easiest way to do this would be using basically water, because when you go ahead and put the seed in water, all these impurities, all these seeds that are unfertile, that are not going to germinate, all of these are going to float up to the surface. So that's basically the next step, to remove all those impurities, and we're going to do this by just go ahead and throwing our seeds in these buckets of water here. And as you can see here, this is our barley seed, and a lot of the unfertile seeds are already floating up to the surface. We can see a lot of like little debris, a lot of little trash, and some of those rocks as well are floating up to the surface. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dump them here in this little bucket so I can feed them to my chickens. It's still good grain for animals and stuff like that. And here, let's go ahead and speed up the process. Go ahead and stir up our water, and keep removing these impurities till they're all gone, basically. And here it is, we're all done. As we can see, most of the impurities came from our barley seed. Our corn hardly had any seeds, and you can see the water is still cleared. Compared down here with our barley seed, the water is kind of brown. So let's go ahead and remove that water. Let's clean out the water here from our barley into clean water, so we can move on to the next step. Okay guys, the next step is basically disinfecting our grains, our seeds. And to do this, we're gonna use basic bleach that you can find in the supermarket. Um, the correct amount of bleach that is normally recommended is 2 milliliters of bleach for every liter of water that you're using. We don't have something at this time to measure, and I've been doing this for a while, so I'm just gonna use a tiny bit. We're not using a lot of bleach. Um, Remember that the idea here is just to disinfect our grains, just in case if our grains might have some spores from when they were processed or whatever. You know, the main objective here is just to give it that extra disinfect. And the time recommended in bleach is between 15 and 30 minutes, and it's really important not to exceed more than 30 minutes. The reason for that is there's plenty of studies done to show that when we expose our grains, our seeds to bleach for longer than 30 minutes, it starts affecting our grains, our seeds in a negative way. And really, you just need for the bleach to take effect a couple of minutes. Kind of go ahead and shake that up, and we're gonna leave this here for 15 minutes, and again, don't exceed those 30 minutes. And the next step is basically to remove the bleach water, and we're just gonna dump it out. We're gonna use the strainer. That way we don't spill our seeds over. Basically, this is how I do it, but you can do it whatever's easier for you, right? Just kind of do it like that. Hold the strainer. Drain all that bleach water out. And what we're gonna do is basically now move into the next step. So we went ahead and removed all those impurities. We went ahead and added some bleach to disinfect our seed. The next step is basically to leave our seeds in water for 24 hours for our maize or corn, and 12 to 15 hours for our other seedlings, whether it's barley, oats, or wheat. These are all basically the same. Since these are smaller seeds, they only require between 12 to 15 hours. Some people use 10. The idea here is so the seed can soak up the water that they need, so they can start their germination process. So we're just adding some clean water here because again we're gonna leave it soaking for the next couple of hours. And here's the place where we're going to leave them soaking overnight. As you can see, it's kind of a dark room. We hardly use this room, so it's a perfect place for us to use. Now, the important thing here is to just make sure the place you place them, for them not to have direct sunlight hitting them throughout the day. It can be just a random room, but just make sure no direct sunlight. 24 hours later, it's time to drain the water and put our seeds, our grains into our plates. The barley seeds, I drained the water this morning, and the corn or maize seeds or grains are still soaking in water, so let's go ahead and remove that. And here it is, guys. We drained all the water out. And let's go ahead and take a look at the differences of our seedlings. The seeds on the tops have been soaked for 24 hours, or in our barley seeds 12 hours, but the bottom seeds are seeds that are still dried up. And you can see that they increased in size, and here with our barley seed they changed color a bit. Before we put our grains in our little plates, it's really important that we go ahead and make some holes on them. This is because it's really important for the water to drain out. So it's gonna be just just a couple of holes, something like that. Nothing really fancy. What I'm using a pen, but you can use whatever you have available to you. And again, it's really simple, just draining the holes here. Making the holes so we can drain out that excess water, right? So there it is. Some holes on that side, and then you can see them on this side. And we're going to continue doing that. So let's go ahead and do a couple more. Now, remember that the reason we are doing this, making the holes here, is because our seeds also need ventilation. They need some sort of airflow always flowing to help the little plants have, oxygen, basically. So once we made our holes in our little plates, the next step is just simply just placing our grains here in our plates like so. Now, the amount of grain that you can use will vary depending on the type of seed and the variety of seed or grain that you're using, since they're all different sizes. But the thumb of rule here is or the recommended amount, it would be between 2 to 3 layers of seed or grains. When we use too much grains or seeds, for example, if we do like 5 or 4 or maybe 6 layers of seed, you're gonna notice that the seeds on the bottom get hydrated more than the seeds on the top, and you have uneven growth through this. So again, the recommended amount is just 2 to 3 layers of grains. And you can as well try at home. At home, you can try maybe doing one of these little plates with a little bit of seed, and then doing another plate with more or much more amount of seed. That way you can see the differences. But basically, that would be the thumb of rule there. And just like that, we're gonna just kind of throw it in there, like so. So in total, we have 9 plates of barley and 9 plates of corn or maize. And just I forgot to mention at the beginning, we started off with 1 kilo of dried up seed. So we'll see how much we can transform that 1 kilo into hydroponic fodder. So the next step would be just maintaining our seeds hydrated, especially during these first couple of days. The thing is that during the first couple of days, the seeds, the grains are really fragile. So we need to keep them hydrated. Once they start getting bigger and once they start developing their root mass, they become stronger, and they can spend less time without constant irrigations. So in order for us to maintain and keep them hydrated and keep them at the right humidity, the best thing that I found was to use this a rag or a cloth like this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically just cut some pieces to the size of our plates, like so. Like this, right? So this is the place where we're gonna germinate our grains, our seeds. This is normally a room that we don't use as much, so it's pretty dark in here most of the time. So when you choose a place where you want to germinate the grains, just make sure it's a dark place, because what we want to do is we want to simulate that our grains, our seeds are on the ground. And the most important thing here is that we need to maintain our seeds, our seedlings hydrated, especially during the first days. After the day 6, 7, and moving forward, or I don't know how to say it, in the following days, I guess I can say, our grains, our little plants are going to start developing their root mass, so they're going to be stronger, and they're going to be able to withstand longer periods of time without being irrigated. But during the first days, it's really, really crucial to make sure they're always hydrated. This is the reason why we use the little cloth. So I'm going to show you guys 2 methods of maintaining the grains, the seedlings hydrated during these first couple of days. The first would be like we see here, right, with the rags. We see how we cut them earlier. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. We're going to go ahead and irrigate our seeds, our grains. And at the same time, we're going to make sure that our cloth, our rag is soaked as well. Now, really important to remember that apart from our grains that need to be maintained, they need to be stayed hydrated. They also require ventilation. They require a bit of airflow. This is why we're using like just a regular cloth. I'm sorry, because if you look closely, I mean, they have like really, really tiny holes. And with the holes as well, there are that we made on our plates. This would allow that airflow that they need. And basically, we're going to do the irrigation like this. We make sure that the cloth is wet. We make sure we go ahead and provide enough water for our seeds. And we're gonna do this at least 2 to 3 times a day. It is recommended to try to irrigate them at least 3 times a day, but sometimes, we're busy, we have work and we have other activities during the day. So minimum, try to irrigate them twice a day, once in the morning, once at night before you guys go to bed. Preferably, one in the morning, one midday, and one, in the afternoon at nighttime before you guys go to bed. That would be the ideal, irrigation times. When we produce in a different system, like in a commercial system, those type of systems, they have irrigation systems that have timers, and they pretty much program the times of the irrigations throughout the day, which can be anywhere from 3 to 4 times a day up to like 7, 8, or 9 times a day. But since we don't have that option, we're doing something simple here. This is the reason why we're using the cloth, right, to maintain our grains hydrated during these first couple of days. Now, this would be the second method that you can use. Basically, where you just put one plate on top of the other. And what this would do is this would keep the seedling underneath by covering it. This will maintain the seed hydrated, provided with the enough humidity that it needs, and as well with the hose on the plates. This would allow that minimum ventilation, that minimum airflow that the seed would need. And on this, the irrigation would be just like this, where you kind of just do this. You lift up the following plate and do something like this. And again, you're going to be doing this 2 or 3 times a day, like so. And then the top plate with this one doesn't have any seed, but the purpose is just to maintain the last, the last plate there, to cover up the last plate basically. And lastly, it's recommended as well to have an inclination, whether you want to maybe incline the table that you're using, or in our cases, we're using these trays. What I'm going to do is basically just put this, it's like a random object, just here on this side. That way it has a bit of inclination, and then when we do the watering, or when we do the irrigation, all that excess water is constantly going to be flowing down. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been 3 days up to this point since we started the process, so let's go ahead and take a look at our grains and see how they're doing. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at our barley. As you can see, they are the root is growing pretty fast compared to our maize. Our maize, you can barely see the root sticking out. And here we can see 4 days later, the root keeps growing, and you can see here on the barley the little stem is also kind of growing pretty fast. And then down here we see our corn, our maize. Also the root is growing pretty fast, but you can't see the little stem yet. But here we go. Let's keep on checking out the process here. Again, this is 4 days later. Hey guys, welcome back. 5 days later, this is how our hydroponic fodder is going. As you can see, our barley seeds are growing pretty fast compared to our corn or maize seeds or grains here. The root is developing really great, but compared to our barley, you can see that their little stem is already growing pretty fast. And check this out. As you can see, they have developed their root mass. So, as far as our barley goes, we no longer have to have them like this, piled up one on top of the other. Since they're already strong enough, we're not gonna need the cloths anymore. So day 5, we're removing the cloth based on the growth that we have, right? And look here at the bottom how the roots are coming out through the little holes on the bottom, right? And as far as our maize or corn, we're still going to keep them like this, pile on top of the other, and we're just going to still keep these on this side with the rags on top of them, right? Because they're still a bit fragile. They still haven't developed their root mass as far as the corn or maize goes compared to our barley here. So let's go ahead and take a look at them a bit closer.
Hey guys, welcome back. I got a haircut. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's still me. Check out how our grains are doing. Our corn seeds, they're developing the root mass. They're growing pretty fast. And then down here we have our barley. Our barley, well, as you can see from day one, they've been growing way faster than our corn, right? So this is how they look like. Now, then we have the other ones here. Now guys, really quick, I just wanted to mention regarding the water that we're using to irrigate or to water our hydroponic fodder. We are using just regular tap water. We are not using any sort of, how do you say it, solución nutritiva, which is translated into nutrient solution. We are not using any nutrient solution. Of course, you can use a nutrient solution to help speed the process, to help increase the nutrient value, but it's really important to mention that you can obtain excellent results using nothing but water. You have to remember that we are just germinating their seedling. The seed does not reach its full potential, so it does not need a lot of nutrients. In general, the seed itself has all the nutrients necessary to develop the root, to develop the little plant within the first couple of days. And remember, this is just a seedling. Maximum 12 days of growth that we're going to be doing here. So think about it like a chicken egg, right? Like a chicken egg. When you have a chicken egg, you put it in the incubator to provide it with the right temperature, right humidity, and a little bit of airflow, and then 21 days later, boom, you have a chicken, a baby chicken, right? So it's something similar to this, where the seed has all the nutrients necessary. You just have to provide it with the right temperature, right humidity, the correct aeration, and the correct lighting, and boom, you have, the plant develops, right? So I wanted to clear that up, because that's one of the common questions that I get a lot, like, what type of nutrient solution are you using? We don't use any nutrient solution. Again, it's possible to use it to help speed up the process, to help increase a bit the final nutrient value of our hydroponic fodder, but it's not a big difference, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. 7 days later, this is how our hydroponic fodder looks like. As you can see, our barley is growing pretty fast, like it's been doing. You can see that the color is turning into a more intense green, you can say. And then here our corn, our maize, you can see that the little stem is popping up, and it already has its root mass. It has a really, really strong root mass now. Let me see if I can kind of show you guys here. Can you see that? So once we have this root mass that's been developed correctly, our seedling, our little plants are now a bit more stronger. So we no longer have to use the rags, or we no longer have to put the plates one on top of the other, because the whole intention of using the rags, of putting the plates one on top of the other, was to keep our little seeds hydrated during the first couple of days. Now that they're strong enough, we no longer have to do that. Now, really important to mention that the correct lighting that we require for our hydroponic fodder is minimum. When I say lighting, I don't mean direct sunlight. The correct lighting for hydroponic fodder ranges between 30,000 to 50,000 lux. The minimum lighting would be from 2,500 to 3,000 lux as a minimum lighting required for hydroponic fodder, and never exceed 50,000 lux. So you can get an idea, basically outside when the sunlight is hitting directly, that's about over 100,000 lux. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we do require a little bit of lighting, but direct sunlight is never recommended, as our plant is not going to reach its full potential. It's not going to provide us with any, grains or anything like that. We're just germinating it for a maximum of 12 days. We're going to put our trays here next to a window. This will provide it with its minimum lighting or luminosity that it needs to proceed with the next step, which is, going through the photosynthesis process. Now, this is just our barley for now. Our corn, our maize, we're still going to keep it here in the back in the dark until their first leaf starts to emerge. As you can see here, you can see kind of like, I don't know if you can see it there on camera. We'll get a closer look for you guys, but the first leaf is already starting to pop out. So this is a signal that it needs the plant requires a little bit of lighting to start its photosynthesis process, right? Hey guys, welcome back. 8 days later, this is how our hydroponic fodder is looking. As you can see here, our barley seeds, their first leaf is kind of, is really visible now. This is 8 days later, and then compared to our corn, you can see that the stem is growing pretty fast, and you can see barely there's like, for example, this little
this little grain here is barely, you can barely see its first leaf trying to pop out, right? So we're still gonna leave our corn here in the dark for maybe 1 or 2 more days. And as you know, our barley seeds, we have them next to a window so they can get that minimum lighting in, and so it can help them with their photosynthesis process. Now, here we have a thermometer, right? This is a thermometer. It measures the temperature and also the humidity. It's really important to remember that the most important factor when producing hydroponic fodder is going to be the temperature, number 1, and the humidity, number 2, right? As far as the temperature, different types of grains will require, or they will favor different temperatures. As far as our maize, as far as our corn, the ideal temperature for these types of grains when producing hydroponic fodder would be between 25 to 28 degrees Celsius versus our barley, oats, or wheat. These seeds favor a colder temperature. In this case, the ideal temperature for these types of seeds, these types of grains, would be from 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, right? As you can see, these favor more the cold versus these that favor more, warmer temperature, warmer climate. But it's really important, independent from the type of seed you're using, it's never recommended to exceed more than 30 degrees Celsius, because when we exceed over 30 degrees Celsius, we start seeing a lot of development of fungi and bacteria in our hydroponic fodder. And basically, this is the reason why we see that our barley seed is growing faster than our corn seed, because the temperatures right now are a bit cold. Here in Mexico, in my country, we're in February, in the month of February, so it's still a bit cold. It's not as cold as December and January, but the temperatures are still a bit cold. Look, it's 17 degrees Celsius, so this is a temperature that favors more our barley seeds versus our corn seeds. That's why you see the big difference of the barley growing faster than the corn, basically. Now check this thing out, guys. Something really interesting happened that I barely noticed today. This little tray, I'm gonna show you guys compared to this other little tray where for whatever reason, I forgot to make the holes on this little tray, and so this tray did not have the little holes on the bottom to drain that excess water. So what happened here is that this one got excessive humidity, and it wasn't getting that aeration that it needed. And what happened was that a lot of these seeds are kind of rotting away because of that, right? As you can see here in the, let me see. So this is the importance of having the holes in our tray. I'm gonna pretty much give this out right now to my chickens, or maybe fit it to my pigs, but we're not gonna keep this tray here anymore. But check this one out. So this is a tray that it did have the holes, as you can see here, and you can see the big difference, right? So again, it's just really important, and it's a good thing that this happens so I can show you guys that the importance of having the holes. That way, we have that excess water always kind of flowing out, and at the same time we have a little bit of airflow to help the development of our hydroponic fodder. Hey guys, welcome back. We're here at day 9. Day 9, let's take a look and see how our hydroponic fodder is doing. As you can see, our barley is growing pretty fast. You can clearly see now that the first leaf is popping out. And remember, we don't have the barley seeds here. We have them here now because of the video, so I can record. But we have these next to a window so they can get that minimum lighting and help them out with their photosynthesis process, right? And then down here we have our corn, our maize. As you can see, they're growing really slow. This is due because of the temperature, as we seen yesterday. But you can see that their first leaf is starting to pop out. So we're still gonna keep our maize, our corn here, still in the dark for maybe 1 more day, and then we'll move them down to the window. And here you can see our temperatures. We're at 18, 19 degrees Celsius, and on the bottom here we can see we have a humidity of 37. Now our humidity is really, really low. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, right? So just remember, the ideal humidity that we want when we're producing hydroponic fodder in the place that we're producing would be between 60 to 80%. This would be like the ideal humidity. When we exceed over 80%, 90% humidity without having a proper airflow, this would favor, or you're going to see a lot of development of fungi and bacteria. Bacteria. I can't pronounce that right. But anyways, so since we have when you have high humidity, there's more probability of having this fungi and bacteria. And when you have low humidity like we have here today, like we've been having for the last couple of days, what you're gonna see is a lot of the roots on the top or on the sides our hydroponic fodder is gonna start to kind of dry up. Let me see. Like, I'm trying to find some so I can show you guys. So this would be one right here. Let me see if I can find some more so I can kind of show you what I mean. Here's another one on the sides. So normally you're gonna see like on the sides of our hydroponic fodder that, you know, some of these seeds and grains kind of drying out. And again, this is because we don't have the right humidity. So what's happening here is mainly the seeds are like on the middle, on the bottoms are staying hydrated and are growing properly, whereas the ones like on the sides and on the top, they're kind of drying out. So again, we're still producing it. You can still produce, you know, great fodder by having low humidity. The ideal thing here is not to exceed over 80% humidity, because that's going to give us a lot of these fungi problems and stuff. So, all right, guys. So we're ready to harvest our hydroponic fodder. We reached between height 13 and 12 centimeters, which is about 4 or 5 inches, right? So it's really important to mention that as far as our barley goes, it's recommended to harvest between the 6th and the 8th day when we put our grains in our little trays, compared to our corn, where the recommendation there is to harvest between day 10 and 12, right? So we're done with our barley hydroponic fodder, and we still have a couple of days for our maize, for our corn. So this is how our hydroponic barley should look like. I mean, the root mass should be white. There shouldn't be any presence of fungi or you know, mold or anything like that. Check this out, guys. And it actually smells kind of sweet. That's kind of a good sign here. And we're gonna go ahead and weigh this out in a bit, guys, just to see how much hydroponic fodder we produce from that one original kilo of seed here. And remember that we're missing one tray, because on one of the trays we forgot to make the little holes, and the seed started to ferment, and it started to kind of rot away. So we threw that. Well, we gave that away to our chickens a couple of days ago. So we're missing one tray, but let's see how much weight we got. And here it is, guys. Let's take a look and see how much we got here. Let me see if I can. There it is. So we got just about it's 4 kilos of hydroponic fodder, which is in pounds is 8 pounds hydroponic fodder off of that 1 kilo. And remember, we're missing one of those little trays, as you know, we have to give it away to our chickens and stuff. So. Welcome back. Today we're in day 10, and as we can see here, our hydroponic fodder, our corn hydroponic fodder, is still growing a bit slow. As you can see, it's barely opening up its first little leaves here. So no, this is due because of the temperature, like I mentioned before. As you can see here, it's between 16 and 17 degrees Celsius. And as I mentioned before, different grains, different seeds favor different types of temperature. As far as our corn, our maize, they favor a temperature, a warmer temperature between 25 to 28 degrees Celsius, versus our barley, wheats, and oats, they favor a temperature between 15 to 20 degrees. And as you remember, we already harvested our barley fodder yesterday. We gave it to our animals, so we're all done with that. So we're just waiting on our maize to you know, finish up its process. The maximum time you're gonna have it here is 12 days. So we have 2 more days to go. Since the leaf is already kind of opening it up, we're gonna go ahead and put our maize next to the window, and hopefully this will help it grow a bit faster. So 2 more days left, guys. And also, guys, here on the top, I'm gonna leave you guys a video that we recorded in regarding hydroponic corn and maize fodder. We recorded this video back in September where the climates were a bit warmer, and you can see the big difference of the growth of that video compared to this video here. The video is in Spanish. I am going to be adding the subtitles as well, and I'm going to be adding what's the new feature on YouTube. It's called the dub feature, I guess, where it would automatically translate the video into English. So go ahead and check that out. I'll leave that here on the top of here. You should see it popping up here, and I'll leave it on the description as well below. Hey guys, welcome back. We're at the 11th day of production of our hydroponic corn or maize fodder. As you can see here, it started opening up its first leaf already, but it's still a bit slow, right? And again, this is due because of our temperatures. We have really cold temperatures during this time of the year. So as far as the corn, it favors a warmer climate compared to our barley, our wheats, or oats grains, right? And I wanted to show you guys, let me see if I can... There we go. As you can see, it's a healthy little plant. It's just the process is just slower than normal, but the root is white. It's healthy without the presence of fungi or bacteria. Now guys, it's really important to mention that as far as our corn, our maize goes, it's recommended to harvest between day 10 and day 12. And as far as our barley, wheat, or oats, it's recommended to harvest between day 6 and day 8. Why? Because this is when they have their highest nutrient value, as you can see here in this chart, where when the seed starts to germinate, their nutrient value starts to increase. They reach their full potential, their peak, you can say, and then their nutrient value starts to decline, right? So this is the whole objective. This is the whole reason why we're germinating the seed, to increase this nutrient value, like we can see in this chart. I'm using this chart just as an example. But now remember that if you exceed this time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going the fodder is going to lose all its nutrient. It just means that, you know, the nutrient value is going to start to decline. For example, if maybe you are going through a drought, or maybe you have been impacted by, you know, severe climate changes and you don't have feed for your animals, then maybe in this case you will want to produce the most fodder possible off of 1 kilo, compared to maybe if you're producing you're producing egg, you're producing meat, you're producing milk. What you want there is, you know, the highest protein levels. So you would harvest at its peak, right, when the protein level is at its maximum. So it really depends on the reason why you're producing hydroponic fodder that will determine, you know, the day that you want to harvest, right? So hopefully this makes sense, guys. My English sometimes is not that good. I don't really speak it as much, so I haven't practiced it in a while. But hopefully, I provided you guys with enough information so you guys can produce hydroponic fodder successfully. So we're finishing up the video here. We're in day 11. If you guys like the video, go ahead and leave your comment. Go ahead and subscribe, and of course, go ahead and give us a like. And if you guys want to learn more about hydroponic fodder, guys, like learn more in depth about how to produce this type of fodder, I'm going to leave in the description a couple of the books that were helpful for me and a couple of courses, online courses that you guys can take so you guys can learn in more detail how to produce this type of fodder for your animals. And again, any questions, concerns, leave it there on the comments below, and subscribe because we are going to be creating more content for you guys in the future here. So thank you so much for watching the video to the end, and looking forward to hear from you guys.